Okay, good morning, folks. Thanks for joining us. Brian and Nick with us here so far because probably some people got a bit mixed up yesterday because well, there was the worldwide outage of Starlink. So it's been tremendously reliable so far, much more reliable than the service the hardwire service that we had in place prior to that, which used to crash all the time and was so annoying. Um, anyway, good to get that behind them. There was some software glitch. It was quite entertaining reading some of the Twitter feed and Facebook feed when I was seeing what was going on. Everyone from Donald Trump to Vladimir Putin to Xi, President or Premier Xi, were all implicated. Anyway, probably a mouse ate a wire. Who knows? All right. Since we last caught up, I spent a big amount of time yesterday on the new Workvivo based instance of the Regrarian's workplace. You'll see that I've even learned how to banner it properly, and I've changed the icons and da da da. Um, I've unfortunately I have to go through each and every group and well, group they're called places in or sorry, spaces in Workvivo, so similar to what they do in a few of the other platforms. So groups become spaces, I should say. Groups become spaces. There we go. And there's events and pages. So pages, and I'm just tweaking with these now, are where all of the knowledge library stuff. So I've got a bit to go through there, as do some of our partners when they come over. So I I've had to go through and tweak some of these because all of them were available. So, and they're meant to be not, because there's other organizations, as some of you know, who use our workplace as theirs. So, they've got their own sort of paywalls for the content that they're providing to their students. So, anyway, there's that. Um, this I don't like so far, but I've done a bit to help with it. So this is apparently in the works that the sidebar. So if I look at my work meta-based instance, you can actually this manage tool here that allows you to select which groups, in this case, you'll have on the sidebar here and a pin, so it's a bit more organized. So I have those core groups there. Doesn't have the same capacity right now for Workvivo. They tell me that that's in the works. So I think that for you there'll be a different look because I'm an admin. I've got access to every group, and there's like 650. I went through about 120 or 50. I can't remember yesterday. I just went on a click fest. So hopefully I'll get through all of those because I'm archiving quite a lot of them. So when they did the migration, it was just basically a dump of everything. So we're sort of going through and cleaning up the room a bit. I didn't want to lose anything, so it was sort of like, did I? My choice was, do I go and pick and choose which of the groups, especially the project groups and so on that people have established, of which that's the most. Do we just not migrate and then find out that that person comes over and that data's lost? So I just decided I'll take the harder way, which will be to just do a bit of a quick fest, which I'll get through over time. Anyway, um, that's all there. I'd I probably need to set up an instance in here or an account where I'm not the admin so that I can get a better sense of what it all looks like. But it's looks and feels very similar to a lot of these sort of experience uh, platforms. Anyway, yeah. So otherwise, very simple. Just go in, make your post, um, and away you go. So if I just search, let's search, seeing we've got Nick and Brian on here. Let's have a look. You may have to migrate if you've got stuff that you've put in here recently, then because the migration occurred, I'm going to say about 3 weeks ago. Let's see, USA, Texas. Let's see what comes up here. Okay, don't have anything there. Or for NC, let's try that. I might try Share. What was
It
oh,
was Texas. It was Texas.
right, USA. How are you, mate?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Texas. Let's try that. There we go.
Yeah, Alexander
Texas.
Grant there.
There we go. So that's it. So go into that and you'll see where we're up to. If it's okay, could you just grab whatever you've posted more recently and just go in and you just repost it if that's okay. You shouldn't, I don't think you've got too many things, or you might just choose not to. It's up to you. But same with you, Brian, and anyone else watching. Just go in and look at your space and happy days. But yeah, otherwise, as you can see, it all looks and feels pretty well the same. I like this shout out thing. That's really good because that's when I want to give a message to everyone. Sometimes that doesn't land. Well, it didn't land when we're in the workplace platform, but it does in here. So, well, it will when people are here. Yeah. What else is there? I think that's probably about it. Now, how to access it? Great question, Nick. You should have received an invitation. If I go into here, work, invite, so I think that's the one there. Yeah. Oops. Set up. So you should have got an email that says set up your Workvivo password. And it's as simple as just going in and just clicking that and going from there. That's um, how it should work. So if you haven't received one, let me know. And if anyone listening, if you have not received this message, just let me know because it's very simple for me to just go into the admin and it's as simple as this. So if I look at Nick, I'll do this for you now, mate, just so it comes through again. Nick Shannon. Uh, right, so there you are. So I'll just go to edit and I'll just go to other actions and I'll send a password. I'll do the same for you, Brian, because you came along, unless you've already got one, but Brian Connor and oh, don't have you there. Okay. What's your email address, mate? That's weird. Unless I've got you under something else. Let's have a look. Brian Connor, there we go. Um, oh, Anna's your wife. Okay. All right. Would you like how would you like to be known here, mate? Lol, indeed. All right. So how do you want to handle that? Would you like me to change the name to yours, or if it's under that account name? Given I don't know, Anna joins us too often. Yeah, okay, I'll do that now. All right, basics. Huh? Yeah, why is it? Well, that's super weird. Okay, I don't know why. Yeah, all right. I don't know what's going on there, and why is that? Hmm, that's a new one for me. I'm gonna have to make a note about that. All right. I got right. Yeah, Workvivo. Did you get that invitation, Nick? Could you just check on that just to see if that came through? Otherwise, I think that's, I don't think there was anything major that I needed to show right now. Yep, great. Thank you. Perfect. All right. Well, so I'm not going to, I just made an announcement today in the workplace that I'm not going to post any Regrarians platform-based content into the meta-based instance anymore. Got to make a point at some point where that had to happen. So that's going to be now. Both Georgie and I will only be making management-based posts over here. So um, I'm going to, and that'll include posting any of the Rex webinar stuff, which we've only got a few of left anyway. So yeah, so I'm just going to start posting over here. I have to post. I think there's a few that I've got to repost into Workvivo, but yeah, all of that will now be in here. It's just got to be a time when you do it. So now's the time. Now this is up and running. Like everyone, I don't want to have to work on any more platforms than I do. All right. Well, with that, don't think I've got any other major news. We'll go over to you two. And let's go. Who's got a question? And we'll go from there. Thanks to Lisa for my lovely lemon verbena tea. Go for it, Nick. Oh
Excuse me. Hi, how's it going?
yeah, getting there, getting there.
So, I just was hoping that we could maybe walk through some of the maps that Georgie provided me, and
Sure. I'll just stop.
um,
I'll just stop sharing.
yeah, and maybe look at, I'm looking at maybe doing some solo pasture, and so just kind of how I can utilize those to
Mm.
maybe plan, keyline. I've been trying to look at the keyline patterning stuff today, and I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I feel like I'm still really lost on it. So just because it's, fairly new to me as well. So
Well, your place is pretty straightforward, so that's a good thing.
yes.
Um, all right, so I'll leave it over to you. Um,
Okay. Let me share here.
when did you get the because he keeps adding layers. He's up to 20 layers now. He keeps imagining new layers, which are pretty mad. He's he's certainly I haven't seen him have this much enthusiasm for something for a while. I think part of it and part of that enthusiasm is because of he keeps mentioning the people who are
Hmm.
ripping people off. He's got a bit of a bee in his bonnet about that, so that's pretty.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, they're beautiful maps, so it's been fun to just let me know when you can kind of when
Yeah,
things
no,
start
you're on.
flowing.
You're on. So I just
Okay.
saw, I think, a watershed.
Yeah, I put it on and off. But yeah, I mean, hillshade, flow, watersheds,
Yeah.
channel networks. I guess I've been just today kind of looking at watershed a little bit.
Hmm.
Um,
Can you turn that on? Oh,
just
yeah, I find that one a bit interesting at times. I mean, it's yeah. There's a minor watershed and a sort of a maximum one. I think is this the larger one? Is it? Or you've got all three of them?
yeah, I didn't realize they were all three and under the same one,
Yeah.
so I can do
Yeah, there's large,
uh
medium, and small. So which one is which? So that's
so
the
this is the
small.
small.
Yeah, right. Sometimes I found the small to be, I don't know, not as useful. But anyway, it's like I mean, I sometimes look at these map layers and wonder, um, are we creating multiple map layers just sort of for the sake of it? Though some of it's a bit academic, but yeah. Um, because it's still, I mean, for me, I don't want to have a case where people use these. without paying real attention to the land itself,
Yeah.
which is a point I made in the in the um, on the base maps page where I quote I think it's Korbinski saying a map is not the territories. Well, they're pretty good, but yeah. Anyway, so let's have a look at some of the others. The probably the slope is probably the most important one, I think, from your
Yeah, I had that
perspective.
one out as well too. It's just from listening to the Rex on this, re-listening to it at least. But
So, oh, there we go. Yeah. So pretty gentle all over. You've got a couple of little spots of erosion and a couple of little slopes. How accurate do you feel that is from being out in the
uh
site?
yeah, that's I mean, this is a huge gully. This is really steep
Yeah.
in here. So that makes sense. We're more gentle. This is kind of cool. This, seeing I knew that there was some terracing done in here, but not
Mm,
to this
mm,
extent. So this is kind of cool to see. You can't, I mean,
mm.
if you're on the landscape, you can't tell this is there. I mean,
Oh,
unless you're really kind of keen to it. I only was it was brought to my attention by somebody who has actually taken your course. So,
right.
that was something that was kind of interesting to see. And then there's these
Huh.
kind of these valleys out here that depressions that you can't, I mean, you wouldn't be able to see with the naked eye, but
What about if
um
the place was all mowed and down? And I suppose if you were going across them, you might feel
yeah,
them.
you can there's a couple areas like this. Let's see.
That's really interesting. That picked up. I can see even on the on where the on the slope there, you can see some other terracey sort of bits
Yeah, right
out on
down here.
yeah down there as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
out on the neighbours, of
This
course.
is this one is probably less easy to see. This is
Hmm.
probably like the old dilapidated cattle pen
Yeah,
and barns and stuff.
yeah. It is
Um,
funny though you
then
say that because they have been using lidar in archaeology a lot, and I
mhm,
know there's a some of the oldest agricultural or aquacultural systems in the world are here in in Victoria in Australia by the Junjat Mara people, and they've been known for a long time. But then Melbourne University started flying drones with lidar sensors over it, and they didn't realise because a lot of this stuff has been broken down as a result of colonization. Just even cattle walking around and people picking up the rocks that used to be used for the fish traps. They would use them for making rock walls and so on after settlement and or colonization. And now they've been using lidar across the place. It's revealed that the extent of these fish trap systems was way, way bigger than they first anticipated. Because even though people have been picking up the rocks, you saw these meta shapes. Because once they used, like a lot of these things, there's an archetypal pattern, just like the terraces are an archetypal pattern.
right,
And when they embedded those fish traps, um, that they were mostly eel traps, and eels, of course, can spend some of their time slithering over the land. So the rock traps were as much to direct the flow of eel movement on the landscape as well. So yeah, it was. So it's interesting we get to hear with the use of lidar that we see some archaeology of your own, soil conservation archaeology.
for sure. Yeah. No, I mean this is this gives you a really good picture of that berm there,
Yeah.
you know, which is kind of interesting to see. And there's,
Mm.
I you don't realize how flat this area is until you kind of see that. I mean, I think this might even be the inflection area where it
Yeah.
starts going this way and this
Yeah.
way.
That's a really good point you make. You probably saw if you go to those you should have got slope ranges. That was a thing that we
Oh,
um
was that this T? Is it? Well,
oh no, so he hasn't done it for you. Let's go to slope. You should
maybe.
go yeah, just click on see if you can open slope up because there
Yeah, I
should be
tried that. Oh,
slope.
wait here. Uh,
No, no, he hasn't done it. Send him a note. I mean, it's not as critical for you because
yeah.
it's fairly obvious, but he should have sent what was called a slope ranges. Now, this is an algorithm that we developed so that we could separate out the slopes so they become individual layers. So instead of them all being blended together, if you just want to look at where the 0 to 1s are, where the ones
Right.
to threes,
Okay.
etc., are,
Yeah.
it's particularly useful when you get a what do you call it? A division like you're talking here.
Hmm.
Although, like recently, I've been working on a design in Virginia, and it's got a break of slope like you're talking about, but like you've got there, except the break of slope is much less gradual. It's really abrupt, and so you've got a line where it sort of goes from, let's say, 0 to 5, and then it goes from 5 to whatever the 5 to 10, let's say, and then it goes from 10 to 15. But the distance between 5 and 15 is really narrow. So, and I was trying to position a road along there because that's a natural place it's a natural place in this particular landscape to put a road. But I just couldn't see the differentiation. It was too abrupt. So I got Georgie to apply that layer, and it was really helpful. But I don't know that it's going to be as important for you as it was for that particular design. But he will do. I mean, I would ask him anyway because it should have been in the package.
Okay.
Um, very interesting. So what do you got here? That's a new road.
That's the main road. So maybe this, seeing this map might change how I direct I mean, utilizing some of this that's already terraced. This is where we're planning on putting the dam.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, as we discussed the other day, you've got a few influences over what suggests the placement of something. You're looking at where's the ideal place to put the dwelling. If you're going to put a dam in place, well, then where's that going to be placed? We've got that connection potentially with the pond and your neighbours and the overflow of that, um, and so on. Where you might put yards, etc. So you'll all of those things will come to be of influence in the final positioning of the road. Um, Probably the main thing that I'm looking at here would be work today or not. Let's see. Zoom. No, you're not. Okay, I'm gonna have to. If you'll excuse me, Nick, what I'm going to do because this worked on Thursday, I'm just going to record part of me doing this because Zoom asked me to. Because I put in is it going to let me do it? Let me see. Screen recording. Okay, and record. Go. So we'll come over to Zoom, and here we are. I'm trying to use the annotation tool, and let's see if it works this time. All right, well, let's. How about that? Didn't work before. Now it's on its best behavior. Um, so what was happening in this sort of zone here
That's
that would have us to move this from having a continuous sort of a gradient running through here.
that's where I mean, I guess nothing really since it's something that I'm going to be removing anyways, but it's the old cattle pens.
Yeah.
So let me remove this for a second. Oops, here, I'll go back. So it's like that. But this is all cattle.
Right.
Really, nothing would stop that.
Yeah, right. Okay. Because yeah, that's the only anomalous sort of feature that I can see there. I'll just turn this recording off because we don't need to. Thank you, Zoom. It worked. Right. That was the recording of this, not the Zoom recording. Hang on. Sorry. Where are you? Not the what's it called? The, that recording is the one I wanted. Right. All right. Sorry for the interruption there, mate. All right. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. All right. Well, if that's the case, if you can, well, just on that, if you considered if you were going to put yards somewhere where they would be placed as an alternative.
I haven't really thought too much
No.
into that. I
Yeah.
mean, my mindset was I'm gonna keep this area as like my wash pack storage area,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
Maybe processing, and
Yep.
then I guess keep it as maybe just a pen area.
Yep. It doesn't seem a
Um,
bad spot to me. I mean, it's not like you're going to have a lot of livestock, so
yeah,
it's not critical. I mean, it may be that you even stick with the arrangement of having a custom grazing arrangement with your neighbour. Who knows? In which case, you
yeah,
don't need any yarding infrastructure at all. So there'll be those sorts of things.
yeah. So long term, I've just been kind of playing around with it the last couple days, looking at potential planting areas for silvopasture, um, kind of labeling out like pecan and black walnut back in this
Nice.
area,
Hmm. Nice.
olives, pomegranates, figs, and mulberries here.
Beautiful. And were you going
And then
to was well, tell me about the market garden and where and how that's going to be integrated.
this is the market garden that I have
Right.
kind of planned here.
Yeah.
Move
So,
it up.
well, the other question to that is, given all of the rain that you've had in Texas over the last month, I don't know if you've been back out there, but have you noticed any waterlogging or anything on this site at all?
Yeah, I mean, pretty consistent. This area has stayed fairly damp when it rains, just because I think it's getting maybe seepage from this leaking dam.
Yeah,
Um,
but the rest of
so
it,
it's
no.
you know, other and then down in this area for sure. There's a couple paths like right along the road right here where it gets wet. Um, I haven't been able to get too far out into the pasture, but every time I've driven down in this area, it's been dry.
Right. Well, it's probably question. I mean, just asking because obviously it's a terrace. Well, it's an
No.
alluvial terrace. Um, I mean, I know when we looked at the NRCS soil web, it said it was pretty well drained. So that's good. And just curious as to say, all right, well, is that the best location? Because the other location is to put it up on the slope where it may not be suffering drainage issues. But if it isn't, then
Yeah,
happy days.
that's
You go with your best quality land, right?
right. And I kind of had planned for a lot of the same trees that I'm putting down here to be up in
Hmm.
this area too, and then potentially like a vineyard with some trees interspaced in there as well
Yeah, nice.
on that south facing slope. Maybe some trees that are borderline on the uh, frost tolerance.
Yeah. So is the whole place just on that? Is the whole place subject to frost, or is it just, or a bit early for you to tell?
It's a bit early. I don't, I'm not,
Yeah.
sh- I'm not sure. I would imagine that this whole area frosts pretty good,
Yeah.
but just because it's in the wide open there and kind of a
Yeah.
little lower. But I can't say,
Well, I've got a little garden out the front here, 4 raised beds, and we get 60 frosts a year here at least.
yeah.
And I went out 2 mornings ago. I've got a bed of Mizuna and pak choi and a few other brassicas, and they got. I took a photo of them actually because they were so heavily frosted, and then I came out an hour later and they were just like, "Boom, no problem." They're
Yeah.
just they're so cool how they can. I mean, it's amazing as a plant to be able to see a plant be able to take that sort of attack, climatic attack, and then
Yeah, it's golf course grasses are kind of like that too, where they'll get frost in the morning, and if you walk on those, you'll see the kill on your footprints in the
yeah,
afternoon.
yeah, exactly, yeah, true,
It's
and
such a fragile moment for them, but
yeah,
it's, you know,
and then after that, they're happy days. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's good. Well, so orientation wise, that's what you're probably more interested in. It's well, I think when we get down on the flat, then it's going to all be north south. Well, s- uh, now do we go north south or do we go? Because I mean, you've got this is where it gets a bit fun. Um, can I just show you something for a moment, if that's all
Yeah,
right? Or
please.
just
Hmm.
while I think of it.
Yeah.
Where are we? Just stop sharing. I'll go to my Google Earth for a minute. Um, oh yeah, I restarted the computer yesterday, so um, might take a moment. Um, yeah, just this whole concept of recorrect, because when you've got a property boundary, well, the property boundaries are whatever shape they are, and so when we're deciding what alignment we will take with say tree rows, um, then I think the choices that we've got are do we have an alignment which is trying to control water? Do we have an alignment that is trying to give maximum solar access? Or do we have an alignment that says trying to shade, right? So, or all of the above. So if we and then I suppose the other alignment that people have also gone with is they've aligned with their property boundaries, um, which I get why you would do that. And in your case, that's one option. I think that aligning with your property boundaries would, which we'll come back to in a moment once this thing fires up. Um, Aligning with your property boundaries would have what would that be? That'd be a sort of a southwest to northeast sort of alignment, wouldn't it?
Hmm.
And you might look at that and go, okay, well, what are the shade dynamics going to be for the crop areas in between? So this is I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about because I've dealt with this before in a similar instance, and you might have seen me um, talk about this place before. So this is Geelong
No,
Grammar.
share your
Oh,
screen.
pardon me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Share screen. Uh, So this is Geelong Grammar School and the old Shell oil refinery down at Geelong. And you can see here, so north is straight up, right? And you can see that this is not as acute a boundary. Um, well, it's the same sort of alignment as yours is. It's probably more northeast rather than full northeast. So what we did in order to be able to get full solar access down the rows, as opposed to running perpendicular, sorry, as opposed to running parallel with either that boundary or that boundary, was to go pure north-south. And then what that did was created, well, we could have continued the alley system as you went over here, so thereby having it so that we had a line of trees here and a line of trees here, something like that. Or you might have done something like that where you had multiple rows here and then had the alley here and then the alley here. But we chose to um, fill that up as a block, right? So you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Is that just because it's on the, I mean, what was the rationale behind the block versus the individual rows?
well, uh, both clients wanted to have a degree of plantation, like contiguous plantation on their holdings. So Geelong Grammar is a school. It's one of Australia's most famous schools. The current King of England went here, and so on. And that's the old Shell oil refinery. These were basically just when I came along. These were basically just like this. They were just open paddocks, and their context was I was helping them with both. I did the environmental management plan for Shell's environs, and I did a similar thing for Geelong Grammar. And their context was, in both cases, that well, go back. Geelong Grammar has has a quite a big equestrian centre, so they wanted to have all of that done. So I planted all these, chose and planted all these trees. They also were running sheep and running crops, and they've got a woodwork. This building right here, if I recall correctly, or that one, is their woodworking room. So they wanted to have timber that they grew themselves, which could supply their woodworking classes and so on. And they wanted to have a demonstration of best practice agriculture because, like I said, like this is the most expensive school in Australia. Yeah, I don't know what it costs. It's like 80 grand a year to send a kid there. It's super expensive. Um, and so they've got a prestige and a leadership that they wanted to put through that when you came to Geelong Grammar, you saw best practice everywhere, not just in terms of their school, but also in their grounds, which have been a big part of their whole outlook forever. Um, and Shell, they have a deep, well, Shell actually bought their land off Geelong Grammar, so they've got a very deep relationship which goes back, and they more or less said, "Hey, we want what you gave them." So, yeah, so we did. And all of these piles of stuff, all these lines of stuff here, that's all of the sludge that comes out of oil refining. So they developed a composting system for the sludge, which they started to use out here. So it worked really well for all of them. But yeah, they were happy to have this sort of arrangement here because it was a bit of a shield from the roads, visual screen. Plus, it also, as I described to them, it gave a sort of a more contiguous habitat for bird life and so on, biodiversity, at the same time as being able to be a better timber plantation. Because when you grow trees in alleys, they don't, depends on the species, but they don't tend to grow as well as a timber tree as they do when they're actually in a block planting. So there's a few elements to why we went down this pathway. The other one that we did, which was a bit different, which I've not done it ever, I've not done it anywhere since. Whoops, is over here in front of the refinery. And you can see here I did a sort of a composite where I did equal area alleys and trees. So I think there are about 30 meters of trees and about 30 meters, oh no, 60 meters of trees and 60 meters of alley. So, because I could, like it wasn't a commercial, like it wasn't a farm. So they sort of gave me full license to do whatever I wanted, really. So yeah, well, you know, plant 40,000 trees for us and yeah, make it look good. So I did. And they do their composting out the front here and people driving past here, like Geelong's 300,000 people drive past here every day, they wouldn't have had an idea what's going on in here. But getting back to your point, there's a realignment for north-south, which is what we did there. And so if I'll get out of here and go back to yours, um,
I'm gonna share again.
yeah, please.
Let me know when you
So,
see it.
so here, what we're looking at, if we go north south now, you've got all, and this is why I wanted to bring this forward because all of those rows, they're going to control water because they're going to be heading sort of down towards the creek, but they're going to be like this. So they're going to be unequal. There won't be any row that'll be the same length, right? If you were to take that same approach as what I just showed then. But in doing so, you would have full solar access. So that's a that's why I wanted to demonstrate that option. Now,
Yeah.
if you go with this option, which is parallel with the boundary or with the main boundaries, you might say, then they're going to go that way. And what I want you to do is sort of question in that, because that's sort of like you might say the rational way of doing it. Lines are longest, you know, etc. But I'd probably want you to question, all right, well, if I put trees in that alignment, and I'm integrating that with a market garden, how's that going to how's that going to um, affect what is the more, well, you probably heard me talk about this before. When I'm putting trees into a landscape, part of the other decision making will be which which option is producing the most profit per hectare. And obviously, in this case, the market garden produces more profit per hectare than the tree rows do. So, and I would say that going with this alignment, this sort of northeast alignment to southwest alignment is um, you'd have to do a lot of shade, or you'd have to do a lot of pruning on the trees to and grow them quite tall so that they didn't cast a lot of shade. Now, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know, but I just wanted to put that out there because that was what seemed obvious to me
Yeah,
from a layout perspective as a risk.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I know that there's obviously I don't want full shade. I know that there is some need for shade.
Well, Brian's
Um,
just pointed that out, and he's a pro market gardener. He said could also consider northwest to southeast, which would have us sort of tweak these lines a bit further. So that would have us go, um, what would that be? A bit more this way. Yeah, something like that. So anyway, yeah, go on. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's I mean, basically there's many options there, and that's what you're telling me.
Yep. Well, what are you
Yeah.
thinking? What are your thoughts?
Um, yeah, that's I guess I had pictured them maybe going this direction, but I don't, not for any particular reason, but just that I had, like for as far as the sun, seeing them like this being really tall, large shade trees way in the
Yes.
back,
Yes.
and then shorter. But I hadn't thought too far into, what the orientation is of the individual rows down in this, kind of quote unquote Mediterranean cluster. Um, I guess I had maybe anticipated it, maybe still running north south.
Hmm.
I, I was thinking about the garden and how that was going to be oriented, and I'm not married to this still. This is something that I'm just working through, but
Sure, sure.
like even rotating this so my rows are that way. Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
well, I
guess
mean, yeah, I mean, you don't have to. The other thing with that, with what you were just talking about, is I don't know that you need to have it block by block. I mean, a row of trees, let's say you've got a row of trees which are going whichever direction, or let's say you've got a row that probably makes more sense to say if you've got a row of trees which goes, let's say north south, and it goes through there. Now, I'll just call it a row. Okay, there's my little problem again. So if I've got that, then this section here maybe just berries or shrubs, right? Because in between that you've got market garden, right? Let's say you've got multiple beds of market garden, and then you've got a row of berries or a section of berries and shrubs because they're low and they're not going to impact shade wise anywhere near as much. I mean, what they'll do is they'll give you a bit of low shade on a hot day when the sun's coming from the west. Then you get to here, which is where you've got your Mediterranean section currently, and that's where you switch it to being, what do you think? That's where you switch it to being the Mediterranean planting, right? And then you switch along that row to whatever other planting you've got, right? So it's not like you have to, that one line can't have mixed plantings along it, if that makes
right.
sense. So you can zone those plantings if you choose. and
Yeah, I
that
think
and that can then influence what that can be influenced by what's
sure.
happening in between.
Yeah, that's so I guess I don't see it being I mean, either way, with the orientation of those trees, like having that, like the trees that I've chosen for this cluster not all mixed height, but there's some variation to it. And so
Mhm.
I did kind of anticipate, needing to really think about which of these trees goes where, even within each row,
Yeah.
you know. And
Well, there's the
that's,
other thing too, like if you're doing olives, well, particularly olives and pomegranates, they're going to need pollination.
yeah,
So you're going to have to cluster them together. So
yeah,
having this sort of fully dynamic sort of system where you've got randomized, well, not sense, sort of a mixture of species across doesn't necessarily work well when it comes to pollination. So,
sure. Okay. Yeah, and
yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, I can things that I'll need to address upon, the final design for sure. It's having those.
I did this job we did a 10-day Rex actually at this project in France, which was their first ever wide-spaced agroforestry project. It was Francois de Mazy. He put it in like nearly 50 years ago. He was only like in his 20s when he did it. And he did a similar system to what we're talking about here. And and he was in the south of France, so it was good for almonds, good for olives, good for pomegranates, jujubes, all the classic Mediterraneans.
Yeah.
And he more or less did what we're just talking about. He had, so he grew, oh, I don't have anywhere near enough photos of it, but he grew like almonds, and then he put grapes in between the almonds but then in between the almonds, so if you've got a row of almonds, he had almonds and then he had like a black locust.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so he sort of did that sort of, if you look at it, almond, locust along the
Yeah.
row. And then he had like 6 rows of vines in between. And then he went almond, locust, almond, locust. It was, but then in other scenarios, he had figs and locust, or figs and pomegranate, or something like that. So he had that sort of assembly.
Yeah.
It was really cool, and it worked really well. I mean,
Yeah,
his
it
main,
sounds like a lot of the similar things that I've been kind of looking at here too.
yeah,
Same,
yeah.
I mean,
Well, an
same
excuse
plant.
excuse for you to go take your wife to and your
Yeah,
baby to the south of France for a trip. They're lovely
right.
people.
Yeah, whereabouts, do you know?
I do.
Whereabouts in the South? We were just there like
Oh, were you? Oh,
yeah,
damn.
about 2 months ago.
Oh, that's a
So
bummer. Oh well.
yeah, no, we missed out. I'm sure I mean, we have a 2.5-year-old, so we were literally only traveling by train and
Yeah,
traveling very, very light. So it
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure you said we have to come back here again. So,
oh, 100%. Yeah, we love France.
yeah,
My wife is a Francophile for sure.
yeah. There you
She's
go. I should get along well with my wife then.
yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to pull it up where it is, but I can certainly do that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I
lovely
mean,
people.
I mean, we love France, so
Yeah,
we're always game to go back there.
yeah. It's called Domaine de Mazie. Um, so they grow cereals in between. They grow grapes so that's all alleys, and they grow cereals and all heritage cereals. They grow vegetables
Mm.
and they grow vineyards. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, pretty mad. I'll get the KML of it. I've got it there somewhere. I might even have it in my. I might even. I don't know. I'll have it anyway. So don't. Yeah, I'll share it with you. And next time you go, let me know, and I'll introduce you.
yeah, that'd be
Lovely
great.
people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially since it sounds like it's pretty similar to, I mean, it's not far. I mean, it's the same planting zone, I think, that like southern France that we're in, like 9A, something like
Yeah,
that.
although summer you're getting summer rainfall, they're mostly getting
Right,
winter rainfall. So
right.
that's
Ex
yeah,
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 exactly. It's a little different, but for sure. Yeah. How about so that kind of that really helps down on the
yeah,
low area there.
yeah.
Um,
Sweet.
let me just snap a picture of that real quick. I know it's recorded, but just so I
Oh
can.
no, 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 go for it.
Okay. And then so
Have you got that?
the other areas up here, um, once we look at, I've been looking at the contours of this. So where am I?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how necessary it's going to be for me to do too much because it's such a small area.
No,
But
listen.
I've I've been looking all the way out here. Is this kind of the key line? I mean,
Well,
just
don't worry. Let's forget all of that sort of terminology because it's really just a break point, right?
right,
Yeah. So I'm not going to get too hung up on that. I mean, if you look at as I said recently, the the main purpose of the whole keyline plan is, as Yeomans put it, was the control of water. So,
right,
if we just, and there'll be 100 different ways in which we do that, and some of that will be identifying key points and making the key line of the valley and stuff. But most of the time, we don't even, I mean, I barely even consider that because a lot of properties, including yours, probably doesn't even have a key point.
right,
So if it doesn't have a key point, it doesn't have a key line. So we're just we're just using some of those principles of controlling water and some of that as well, some of the unique keyline geometry or some of the, the geometry of the keyline plan is to have row gradients which fall from valley towards ridge, or just or let's just say on a ridge have a fall uh, to the ridge. So when we look at that landscape above the break of slope, the southern section of your panhandle, um, you that's all ridge pretty well, except for a small amount of valley near your entrance, which we're largely not going to do anything to. So now, if we look at the orientation of the rows here, um, taking the same sort of consideration as before, then we've got pretty well all of this section has a really good orientation, as does here. Oh, particularly, sorry, more so. Come on, it's doing that thing again when I don't bloody video it. All of this section here. Come on. Yeah. Anyway, you see that section there has a north-south orientation more or less with the road with the contours. Now, when we get over here, it's an east-west orientation, and now we have to question, well, what's the if we were to go with more sort of an alley style planting or even a block planting, is there going to be a or is the advantage for going with a contour alignment greater than if we go with something that's more north-south? Um, they're, they're the questions.
Right.
Now, the other element to this is um, there is a beauty to having a nice curved line in the landscape. That there's no doubt. I mean, just going to Campbell Mercer's last weekend and again walking through his beautiful keyline olive groves, which are now 25 years old. I mean, there's some of the rows which are because of the shape of the contours, they look more or less like long straight rows. Like if I was to put trees, say along here, it'd be more or less like that. They're really long rows, but you'd have a curvature to them, which would look really cool. But then if I was to have something, oh, fuck this bloody thing, now it's doing it. Um, I'm going to record this because this is part of that dilemma that I was
Yeah,
looking
no
at
problem.
before. Pardon me.
Yeah, I didn't see your last line either. I
Yeah,
don't think.
exactly. Well, I'm trying to run something serious here, and this is bloody not helping. All right, new screen recording. Here we go. So we're in Zoom, and here we are, and I'm going to try and use this annotation tool. And I'm going to try and draw the line here, and you can see now it's on, and here it comes. It's back on again, and can I do it? Yep, I've got that. Now it disappears, which is really unhelpful. But yeah, so I think that just demonstrates to the people at Zoom that this annotation tool in our case here is not functioning properly. I'll just try that again. Here we go. We'll draw the line. Yeah, so it doesn't even keep the line. It kept the lines that I drew before, but yeah, it's all over the shop. All right, that demonstrates that to Zoom. So now we'll get back to, where am I here? Save that little recording. There we go. That's done. Now I'll come back to you, Nick. Um, yeah, so if we have that alignment going along there, then that's going to shade out whatever's growing in between. Um, but there's definitely a beauty to having these really nice curved lines, but you've got to look at their function.
Yeah, would you align the rows to kind of funnel towards the dam that's up here?
That's if you saw that, yeah, definitely. If you wanted to have drainage towards it, you got to sort of look too. Um, if I've got tree plantings around there, then I've also got the headlands to contend with. So if we're looking at these little areas, I'll see if I can get away with it. If we're looking at these sorts of areas here, if I've got a row there, that's angled that way, I've got to turn. And if I've got a dam here, then what's that going to look like? Because usually when you get a dam, you get seepage backwards because the water now is going to you're going to have hydraulic conductivity of water backwards up the slope, and that will impact the turning area that you've got on the end of those rows, if that makes sense.
Sure. I mean, that's, if you're not considering kind of riparian areas right. I mean,
Oh, even if that's just grass, that's going to be wet grass.
you know,
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, they're just some things to consider.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, this is while we work through this stuff. I
yeah,
suppose the next thing for you is to start populating the map with. I mean, I'd even get to the point now where I'd start populating the map with some of the major lines in the landscape, such as the realignment of the road. So it's how we think it should be. The positioning of that dam, the positioning of your housing, and your house envelope, that sort of thing, because a lot of this is going to start to take shape after that. And to be quite honest, a lot of that stuff that happens around here, around this whole zone here, which we'll sort of say is the meta building envelope, I wouldn't have thought you probably do a lot of that until you actually get there, and you'll
yeah,
make a decision once you get there. Because even the building itself is going to cast shade, and you'll need to look at because you might design a whole bunch of stuff below where the house is, and then you've got the house built, and you go, oh shit, there's all this shade that the house has cast, right?
for
Um,
sure.
so
Yeah,
the yeah, so I sometimes
yeah,
think that's why I'm not a big fan of master plans because especially when you're putting all of these elements together because like if you were just master planning an alley farming system here and there was no other infrastructure, sure. But when you're trying to blend all of these other layers together, like buildings and roads and fences and trees and blah, 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 I think it's a fair bit to pull off. And I don't
yeah,
think that we need to put that much pressure on ourselves to do that. Secondly, is that you're going to probably go through a phase of soil improvement, which is going to give you the time to further reflect on the shape of the landscape and some of these factors and sort of go, okay, now I feel better after observing this landscape for a while I feel better about a tree alignment being this way or that way, right?
right.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't think we need to put ourselves under undue pressure, but certainly sketching these things out and working through them is not a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I see, I once I have a chance opportunity to do soil testing, I might find out I don't have the soil for any of these trees. I might say, well, maybe the amendments that I need to do is going to be too much. So I don't think that's the case. I feel like I have a pretty healthy landscape, but um, you
Well, you've got
know,
all the evidence of all the trees around you too. I mean, I'd be
right.
certainly paying close attention to
Yeah.
what others are growing.
Yeah, I'm trying to at least. There's it's they don't do a lot of good job marketing themselves around this area, so I've had to dig pretty deep to find places that are kind of doing what we're looking to do. So
So, is there a lot of on a lot of the homesteads that are around you? Are you saying that the a lot of the plantings are pretty boring and nothing really exciting to look at?
yeah,
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 all going to the same nurseries more or less.
yeah, pretty much.
What?
So
Yeah. So,
well,
yeah. Okay.
a lot of what we'll end up, I mean, having to do is grow this stuff ourselves. So it's
Yeah.
from cuttings and propagations and that kind of stuff.
Well,
So
I mean, that's not a bad thing anyway. And
no,
that might even become an enterprise for you.
for
Um,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no harm in a tree crops. I mean, you look at nurseries. I mean, I'm a big rap for nurseries and the power that they have to change landscapes in districts. It can make a massive difference because nurseries often become sort of they're an interesting enterprise from that perspective. They provide a lot of leadership as an enterprise or landscape leadership, if I can put it that way,
Yeah.
to a district because people go, oh, that can grow here. I didn't realize that, there's a whole conversation which goes on between a person who comes to a nursery and the people who run the nursery. And you and it's such a classic marketing interface because if you grow plants that people have fail growing, well, you'll certainly find out about it,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's a lot of really some really good feedback loops, I would say,
Yeah,
that come
for
into
sure.
it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely an enterprise that we would consider. I worked at a farm in Montana that that was one of their excuse me, one of their enterprises was they had a biannual plant sale and um they think they did pretty well with that sale. So
yeah, yeah. No, it can be a good business for sure. And I mean, boy, there's the way that a lot of trees are sold in the US. It's again, it's sort of like plastic pipe. It's like the world just hasn't caught up there. It's quite
yeah.
surprising for such an advanced nation at times. When we have some of this too, but yeah, the US is sort of surprising at times how stuck in its ways it is. Um, anyway,
What are you referring to specifically?
oh well, specifically the containers that are often used in the US haven't caught up with I'm speaking generally, but there's like the BCC and European style containers, air pruning containers are just magnificent. And they're they're very modular. They they're super durable and they grow fantastic plants. And when it comes to tree crops, I mean, people in the US are still stuck in doing bare root systems, for example. And bare root, I mean, I understand why people do bare root cultivation of deciduous trees, um, be, because you need basically no infrastructure. But it goes against the whole possibility of that plant being as drought proof as it could be because you are cutting off the root system as the primary means of harvesting those plants. Whereas were people to use, say, root trainer technology or root trainer containers, which are air pruned. So, are you familiar with that technology?
I mean, I'm familiar with air pruning for sure, but
Yeah,
not, I don't
well,
just
the root trainer containers have basically got inverted um, veins inside of the container which direct the roots down, and then the air pruning thing is where all of the nursery is elevated, so that and the bottom of the pot has got a decent aperture or hole, so that as the roots come down, they get air pruned. So so when so so when they get planted, so that's very different to cutting the roots. When you have a bare root system, you use a before harvesting, you usually go through with sort of an undercutting blade that will cut the roots. So if you've got a pecan or a lot of these, or oaks and all sorts of species like that. I mean, that's the first thing that they invest in. That's why they've got such a big kernel. They put a taproot down before they even put a leaf up. And for you to come along and then undercut that really undercuts the possibility of that plant to be as um, uh, successful and as drought tolerant as it could otherwise be, right? I mean, yeah. So the air pruning technology enables you to overcome that. But seems there are certainly nurseries in the US that do it, but by and large, a lot of people do not. So,
don't.
yeah, um, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I've when I did the set up the nurseries in India in 23, 24, we set them up both as bare root and as containerized. And yeah, the containerized they hadn't used they were using grow bags, which is basically plastic bags. So at the end of each planting, you just ended up with, well, in our case, we would have ended up with 12 million plastic bags to dispose of, which is just horrendous, and you can't use them again. Versus the containers where they'll be used for the next 20, 25 years over and over, and growing much, much better trees. So that was a bit of a revolution for them. Anyway,
Um, I guess real quick, just, any of these other maps that I should maybe focus on, just trying to learn more about. I mean, like, I guess the ones I have been going back and forth between are the slope.
yeah,
Assuming, view shed, is that kind of just the distance that you're able
I
to
haven't,
see?
I haven't used all of these to
Okay.
in a project yet. So, like I said,
Okay.
George, I just stick to. I mean, there's some new maps that Georgie's put forward, which he's sort of
Yeah.
dreamt up. Look at well, a view shed. A view shed is an interesting one. I think it's one that helps people um, who want to see how long their view is. Right now,
Right.
the corollary of that is um, then can you pop up? I can't see the legend on this.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, because I'm still familiarizing myself with all of these billion maps that Georgie's
Yeah, I'm just
created.
moving it in a little bit closer. I'll stop now.
No, no, I can't see the legend though. Can you just?
You can't see
Oh,
it still.
oh
I've
yeah, no, yeah, I got to it now. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, so it's going to help people with. It's a two-edged sword, this one. If I can see 5,000 meters or whatever I can from your slope, then that means that's also exposed. Um,
Yeah.
so it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I think in future what I'll do is once I get my head around all of these layers and getting to stop producing so many.
Yeah.
um,
I mean, honestly, like, regardless if they're usable or not, I think they're beautiful. So it's fun to see them, because it
sure.
does give you like a 360-degree view of the land without being there. You can pick a spot and then go, okay, this is what the view is. This is where the wind is. This is where what the slope is. So,
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I'm
I
with
mean,
you. I've just got to go through it and use it to sort of see
right.
just how usable they really are.
Yeah, well, it's cool. It's good to know. I mean, this is a low exposure to wind,
Yep.
so
Yep.
it's going
For
to
sure.
be, it's the humidity is going to be real there.
Yep.
Whereas we're up a little bit higher, hopefully that helps with
Yep.
where our home is to kind of keep it cool. We're not on the top of a ridge, so we're not going to be completely exposed. Just some things that kind of help
No, it's
confirm that we're on the right path.
yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I just haven't used them all on a project. So
Yeah.
I'm sort of in a similar boat to you, except well, I'm behind you in this sense because I actually haven't run a project with all of these map layers. I just generally get the contours and the slope. That's generally what I've been working with, and all
Well,
of those. Yeah.
I can share my file with you. You can feel free to use my maps as a guinea pig again. That's fine with me
No worries, man. Thank
for
you.
your explorations. Yeah, no, I mean, I'll have to do some research. I don't know what RL 1250, 100
Yeah,
is.
that's sort of stuff I've got to find out too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in
I
the
mean,
same boat.
I've Googled it at one point, but I can't remember. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think he's made a video. Oh, excuse me. I think he's made a video about all of this, but
has he? Okay.
yeah,
I'd love to see that. But anyways, well, I'll stop sharing. I'll let somebody else have the floor here.
no
I
worries,
got some good answers here today, and
no
I'm
problem.
going to maybe doing some fence clearing next week. I needed to um, just get some things cleared up this week. Well, my wife's due with this baby, so we'll see. Hopefully next week I'll be down there still. We'll see.
Not much on then.
Yeah.
Well, all the best with that, and
Thank you.
maybe we'll see you next week. Maybe you'll be otherwise occupied.
Yeah, we'll see.
Good on you, man.
We shall see. All right.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
No worries, man. All right, Brian. How are you, mate?
Yo. Hey, good. Hey,
Hey,
Darren.
gee, we've got a nice little avatar of Nick now. He looks, yeah, that's good. I must get one of those. Oh, that's good style. You got one of those, mate? You got one of those little cool things?
Say again, you're talking to me?
Oh yeah, I'm talking to you. I'm just saying,
Oh,
when Nick went off,
oh, right.
he's just left us with a little cartoon
Right.
avatar-y sort of thing. It's cool. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah. Have you got one of them?
Oh, no.
No, neither have I. Not that I know of, anyway. What about
Nice.
you? What about you, Kathy? You got an avatar? Maybe we should have an avatar clinic. That'd be good. All
Yep.
right. So, what's up with you today, mate? You been well?
Hey, Darren. Yeah, doing well. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good, good, good. You haven't played us a song yet. Um,
No, not yet, but
maybe that's next Friday for the finale of this Rex.
yep.
You can play us a tune. Yeah, no pressure.
Yep. But yeah, man, yeah, we're in our like peak season on the farm. July and August is like our peak season, so we're just kind of like running wide open. So I just been kind of doing what I can to keep up with the Rex
Yeah, yeah,
and all that and chipping away a bit. But yeah, I just wanted to take this last like week or two to kind of like touch base and kind of be thinking about the stuff I should be kind of like working on and working towards.
mhm.
I'm thinking that like this has been a good first pass. The Rex
Yeah,
been a good first pass, and I think September and on I'll have more time to kind of like dig in and make some progress. For the and have some more stuff to kind of work on for or to work together on in like
yeah,
November.
yeah. Sounds
But
good.
yeah, so I guess I'm just trying to
I know
like I don't have a
it's a fairly big gap. We normally, because of the tour this year, I only had a 1 month gap between um, the which would be the correspond the November. We always do a sort of a November to sort of March one or November to February. But because of the tour this year, we brought this one forward. So we normally don't have as big a gap. This one would normally finish sort of probably September. So we've only got like a 2 month sort of gap.
okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's why. Anyway,
Yeah.
um,
So yeah, I don't have a ton prepared, but I just kind of like just curious to kind of like just kind of been working on kind of like spending time looking at the maps and kind of like trying to like read the landscape and kind of think through some different stuff and kind of especially like the priority stuff.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't know if you want me to like pop
Yeah,
open the
go for
map
it,
and
man. Go for
like
it.
down a little
I'll
bit.
just what do I got
Yeah.
to do here? Just make that. All right, go for it, brother.
Okay, so let me know if you can see that.
Yep,
All right.
that's up on the screen now. So
Okay.
we've zoomed in a bit to
Yeah, we're
the
zoomed
corner.
in.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah, I cleaned it up a little bit. We looked at some of those photos last time.
Yep.
Yeah, I tried to clean it up a little bit. I got those kind of ponds a little bit more easy to see.
Hmm.
And yeah, kind of like where we last left off. We were looking at kind of like I think this, I still got to like price stuff out, but we are very interested in trying to like do at least this big pond in
Mm.
the east because I think it's going to be our biggest water storage potential.
Oh, for sure.
Uh,
It's the best site for sure.
yeah, and I think I mentioned that like I kind of want to get a quote for the driveway, the house site, and the pond, kind of like all
Yep.
in one go,
Yep.
and then yeah, so kind of just trying to think some of that. So that's a big subject, and it sounded like where we left off last time was, we looked at this water conservation channel,
Yep.
and we talked about whether it should be on contour or which direction it should go. It seems like maybe I still got to look at my, quantify some of the watershed details, but it seems like maybe we were leaning towards just sending it to this big pond just
And
to try to kind of
putting a little gradient on it or not?
yeah, with the gradient. Yeah, I think like I was saying last time, I think there's 2 or 3 feet I have to play with. It's about 600 feet from about here around
Yeah.
to here. So
Yeah,
it'd
because
be like a
your pinch
one
point is coming around where you've got the survey pin southern boundary. That's your
right. And
that's
that's
your yeah.
right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's actually where so like I mentioned, I did set up my laser level and
Oh
I kind
yeah,
of,
cool. Yeah, we did talk about that. Yeah, and you've got the Arju simple. Yeah.
yeah, still got to work out the Ardu simple detail. That, that
Okay.
might take a little bit, but yeah, and I'm working on the GIS stuff, but
Well,
yeah, but I did,
Braden's got his working. You might want to check in with him. And I think there was Braden and also Arthur. Um,
right.
Braden, I haven't seen Arthur for a while, but Braden certainly seems fairly active, so you might want to check in with him and
Nice. Yeah.
get some
I don't
tips.
know if I just got the just the one pole. I got the base station and the
Yeah,
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 the base rubber setup.
yeah,
Yeah, still working on that. I'm waiting on another tripod for the base station or whatever.
yeah,
So,
right. Yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
No,
so that's what I did with that pinch point coming around that ridge is so basically I just like I threw a flag in kind of however
mhm.
many feet this pin is was supposed to be, basically I dropped down about 6 feet off the ridge, and I just threw in a pin, or I threw in a flag, and I used that to set my.
Oh,
I don't know.
to sort of benchmark a reference from the pond.
Yeah, basically I just since that's the kind of the pinch point to determine where that contour would need to be.
Yeah, yeah,
I just made a mark, and then I sent that. It's about 6 feet down. So I was
yeah,
hoping to kind of more or less be marking out about the whatever it is, the 714,
yeah,
which is what I have highlighted in blue. So yeah, I
yeah.
marked it all the way around and then around to here. And you can see over here it looks like it matched up because that this contour west upper pond, that's like the where I flagged, and it looks like it's right on the 714. But yeah, anyway, so there's that.
And
And
you use the laser level to mark those points, yeah?
yeah, basically I just marked a contour line.
Yeah,
But I just used that um yeah, I just kind of like randomly selected that spot just like a little bit in,
yeah. What's that distance
kind of
from the
eyeballing.
boundary?
Say again?
What's the distance from the boundary approximate, or is the boundary marked on that southern boundary or not in the
Do you
forest?
mean like is it marked in real life?
Yeah, is there a fence or something along there or not?
There's remnants of a very old fence, like a barbed wire fence. But yeah, the
Right,
only mark I have is this. So this is an actual survey pen
right.
right here.
Yeah,
That's but yeah. Yeah,
got
so
it.
that's an actual survey pen. I don't know the distance, but
Yeah,
I just kind of eyeballed what I thought,
yeah. Well, the obvious place. I mean, that's you done. I mean, it's right on the forest edge, so that's an obvious place to put something, right? As a
yeah.
starting point.
Yeah,
And they look
that's
like pretty decent trees there too. So to cut, yeah, there you go. Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
it's somewhere where I'm standing right here. So
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it seems obvious, especially when you show the photos of the trees. It takes on a whole different project when you start looking at removing some of them. Um,
yeah, so yeah, basically those trees are right on the boundary.
yeah,
And so kind of like where I'm standing in this photo right here would be like it would be swinging around, and right now I'm
yeah,
looking east
exactly. Yeah,
down to it'd be swinging around, yeah. So
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if that is making sense as far as
No, no,
like
absolutely. No, it's. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, what I recall us talking about was with that western section there, sort of from the survey pin back to the 714 pond. Um, we were talking about the impact of if we did have a contour based system, then what that would, how that would impact. Well, one, would you have ongoing maintenance with the channel itself? And two, how well, what effect on the hydrology of that area to the southwest of the channel, sort of in between the channel and pond 696, that little ridge, what impact the hydrology would be on there from having a contour-based channel as opposed to one with a gradient. But I think that um, look, you're going to build 711 Pond East, um, and well, let's go back from that. Are you looking at if you build seven Pond East, will you then also build the channel that would go to what would be 714, given you're not going to build that in this first earth moving session?
Yeah, I think that so that's like a kind of a detail where say I could only afford to do, sorry, I'm zooming around.
No, you're right.
Um,
You're right.
got a sensitive mouse here. But yeah, so if I only built the east pond, yeah, I feel like I at least with like a tractor, I could at least, put in some kind of gradient ditch
Yes.
to fill that. If not, I feel like that's like an option. But yeah, I feel like I would just put that in.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that would be like a main kind of like feature in the landscape as far as kind of defining that kind of like that sort of geometry. Because I
Yeomans used to do exactly what you're talking about too. He would put in, because you look at that blue line that goes actually past the 714, and you've got it going right out to the road. You sort of highlighted the contour on that
Mhm.
on that. So there would be nothing stopping you from running a channel which went all the way from the road, went around what would be the shoreline of 714, and then running it on contour there, and then from once it gets past 714 pond, then having a gradient out to pond east.
Right.
Yeoman's he actually was in the challenge of landscape. He said that you should always build your water conservation channels first before you actually built the pond. And the reason for that was, from his perspective, is if you do that, then you can actually use the ditch of that so that if you get rain during the pond excavation, it will actually act like a swale, and it'll divert water away from the construction. So instead of you having all this water coming down from the natural catchment, the channel will actually harvest that. And yeah, and then once you're done, then you open it up. You open up the bank where you want the water to spill from the channel, which would naturally be right at the apex of the what we call the fetch point. So the fetch in a dam is sorry, with this drawing thing, is, see if it works. The fetch is the longest distance between the embankment and the shoreline, right? That's called the fetch of a dam. And so if this was a water conservation channel which was running around, right, then you would have that all intact. And what that would do is it'd make sure that the water all ran, or didn't run when you didn't want it to run, which is during the construction phase. And then you would open up because it'd have an embankment, and then you would open up that embankment, say here, and then that'd just be ditch with no embankment, and the embankment would be intact all the rest of the way. That's how he originally did it. And so then the water would, once you'd finished this dam, then it would run through in what is the flattest part of the landscape. So what you might also do in this zone, which is our adaptation of his um, process, is make a sump or something like that, make some sort of wetland there, so that the discharge point for these channels would end up in a it might only be a few feet deep, but it'd be a sort of a ditch and you'd fill that, or it'd self-fill with wetland species, polish the water before it then ran into the into the main dam, which is sort of like, I see you've got this little spot here. It's sort of almost like that would be channeled into that, if that makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, so it would kind of be like a little sediment,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind of like sediment little
Fill with
pond.
cattails and reeds and
Right.
rushes and all that sort of stuff, and then probably do it of it. You wouldn't have to. In your environment, I don't think you'd have to plant a thing. It would just plant itself. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then so to clarify, so basically the conservation channel would come where my mouse is from the east, go in that direction, and then from here, you're saying I could basically just go ahead and put in,
Yeah,
catch everything and come around
yeah.
all the way.
So it might have, say, gradient from here, say, to here, right? And then it's level from here through to here. So that's on contour.
I see.
And
Got it.
and then it goes from here, the white line, that's all got gradient to here, right? And then from here through to here, it's all on contour.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
yeah, that was the original way of doing the whole water conservation channel thing. Um, yeah, and I don't disagree with that method and have used that myself. So yeah.
Gotcha. And what would be any other thoughts around like I guess like options for, I guess this like could be I guess back to like access, it's like I just penciled in sorry, I
Mm.
moved your
Yeah, no, not at
moved
all. I'll get rid
your
of them so it's all clear.
and I haven't I need to dig in more, more into details, but I'm just trying to pilot so that red line is my boundary
Yep.
and then my bad. Just trying to draw a no, it's not letting me draw.
Yeah, that could be a bit of a funny tool at times. Maybe go to clear, unless you want to keep those.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, I guess I'm just my brain's just not working. I'm holding.
Oh, there you go. All right. So I can see a
Okay, cool. So
polygon now.
what? So I'm just popping that in, and that is so basically like just to zoom out. Like I'm assuming like the X. I'm planning on having a main entrance like somewhere
Mm,
up along this road.
hmm.
Uh, there's that seems like I could kind of put an entrance wherever. That I'm thinking I'm going to have a lot of infrastructure end up in this area. It's very
Hmm.
flat, it's on a
Hmm.
ridge, and
Yeah. Yeah.
in between this pond and this kind of like little
Yeah.
streamline
Yeah.
creek line. And so this is 150 feet I penciled in. All the tunnels, like all the high tunnels or greenhouses that we're going to be using are 100 feet. I didn't know. So I penciled that in at 150 feet, just to kind of have a
Give you a
buffer.
bit of turning area and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, have a buffer. I'm not doing tractors in the tunnels, but yeah. So I guess there's like, so I guess that's one of the things I'm kind of thinking through is just like all the
So you
edge
were going to put
detect.
the so you're going to put your sort of infrastructure and your tunnels up in that sort of machinery storage, all that sort of stuff up there. You sort of
That
hardware,
that's
your hardware.
yeah, that's an option.
Yeah. Hmm.
As far as like, I just like to rattle off a couple other considerations. Like, I need a house site, which I guess could be in this area, but it could also be like up on top of this ridge. And kind of assuming like the entrance is going to come
Or it
through.
could be completely opposite to you. On that ridge, you could have all your tunnels and you could have your house on the road too.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, so I guess it could go that way. So yeah, one of those two is likely. I think over here you can see this. So this is the septic area.
Mm.
That's kind of the precise area that it doesn't necessarily need to be that big, the drain field, but That's what I
That
have to work with,
that's what the
and
county's allocated, and they.
that's what the soil scientist that I hired.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I got the data from him, and oh, it's not letting me draw because I'm in
Uh,
a.
how was he with? I'm sorry if we dealt with us this before. Was there any setback consideration from from that septic outflow area and where you're looking at the pond being? Is because you might have heard us talk, say, with Kath before here in Australia that there's these setbacks or separation distances which are mandated by law as to the distance between open bodies of water and septic outflow areas.
Yeah, I need to double check that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I think I'm gonna be fine. Yeah, I mean, I if anything, it might be like 50 feet, something like that. But yeah,
yeah,
I can check that. But yeah, so pretty much,
yeah, okay.
I think basically house site. I'm thinking will not be on this side.
Yeah,
Between the septic and it's got some. These are some of the better soils. So any of the soils that I can use on this east half of the farm, probably going to be just like market garden field blocks.
yeah. Well, if you were to
Down.
put that house in the center where you've got your sort of crossroads, which seems like a really nice site to put it. I don't know. In one way, I sort of go, okay, like the market gardener in you would say, all right, well, that's a really good spot because it's centrally located. It's sort of the crossroads to all places. So there's that. And then the other part of you would go, all right, well, it's also going to be a really nice spot because it'll be back off the main road. It'll be looking over pond sites, looking over all of my beautiful fields and so on. So, yeah, I, then I also wonder, well, is it a merging of the two? Because you've got sort of like that whole zone through here is all relatively flat, right? So you've got that whole zone, um, and the two can sort of merge somehow as a I don't know.
Right.
I mean, you've probably I don't know how you're living at the moment. Is your house intermingled with all of your market garden, or is it all separate on separate
No,
places?
it's separate. Yeah, we rent 2 acres, like 5 minutes from where we live. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen enough where people have mi like people have a different attitude about this. It's sort of like, do I want to have a separation between what is this work center and my home center? There's those sorts
Yeah.
of tensions sometimes which need to be addressed, let's say.
Yeah. I don't want to sit on my porch and look at all these greenhouses though.
Yeah, yeah, because you'll just imagine what I need to be doing, all right? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's a bunch of plastic. I mean honestly,
yeah,
if I didn't have the commercial pressure to have the greenhouses, I wouldn't. But
yeah, sure.
or besides a few,
Yeah, I like them personally. I don't mind them, but it's an aesthetic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess generally, yeah, the like you're saying, the this ridge is really high value real estate. It's really flat.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think generally like the house site could be here on the ridge, and like we talked about, this benefits, and then but also maybe this could be a whole different thing if I put a house site, in this space and kind of be facing the pond. When I was there recently, I did feel a nice like breeze kind of coming across like from the south.
Yeah, right.
It could
That's
kind of come
interesting.
across the water. But yeah, in talking to a local farmer, I used to work down the road, but one of my farm mentors who lives through the woods, yeah, he was kind of saying that like this ridge is going to be kind of more exposed and catch more wind. A lot of our prevailing winds are like northwest or southwest
Hmm.
as far as storms, but
Yeah, right.
I guess it's just choosing whether you want your house exposed or you want your crops exposed. But yeah, so that's kind of some of what's going on.
Or your polytunnels exposed too, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's possible. But yeah, so that's kind of some of what's going on. Stuff I'm thinking about. But yeah, between like the septic site, probably trying to just do farm fields over on the east. Kind of got this, yeah, this yeah, the access like on the ridge line makes sense, but then it
Mm.
seems like I need a road that's going to go. Yeah, first of all, if I have a house site, wherever I'm gonna have to pump through a 2-inch PVC pipe from the house to the septic site, and I was assuming that I want to put a that pipe next to an access road. So I guess kind of thinking like if I have a house wherever, I'm just gonna want to have an access road that's gonna go from over here and flow to this side of the farm.
Well, on that, are you act? I think you mentioned before. I mean, I know you've paid for this scientist and everything, but are you absolutely wedded to that septic outflow field? Because I mean, it seems to me, if you can zoom out, please. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, if your house was going to be, I mean, I'd try and have this so that it was solid state, in other words, so that I wouldn't have to do any pumping of anything. That if you did have your building envelope sort of up here somewhere, well then what's to stop you having the septic leach field sort of say down here somewhere where it's away from bodies of water and so on? Is that just because of a because of the soil type here or whatever? Because the other element to this as well is that I don't know what access to different septic systems you've got, but at least here, and they should be in the US as well, is that there's some really good actively aerated septic systems now, which where the water that comes out of them is basically able to be used for irrigation. It's not like the old style septics where you basically once the thing fills up, it just overflows with its sort of skanky material out into some leach fields. I mean, there's
So is
there's
that
there's
like a drip? Is that a drip or a spray system or no?
most of them are spray systems. Yeah. Yeah, we've.
Yeah, so
I
I
I
do
haven't
trust
investigated
the.
it in the US to see what options are, but here in Australia, I mean, we have a plethora of these incredible systems now. We've got one of the best ones that we have come across is the AA worm farm system, which is basically instead of having a septic, it's a worm farm, and that's an incredibly popular system now. And of course, the water that comes out of that is worm juice, right? So it's
And that's government approved?
yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah. No, these are all
Oh,
approved
wow.
systems. Yeah, so I just haven't touched in on what's available in the US because it's kind of like barb fittings and hose clamps. There's a bit of that sort of tech still in the US. You haven't
Yeah.
cottoned on to compression fittings and so on.
I try to use compression fittings, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I know you look like a modern man, so I appreciate that. But
Yeah, I'll have to double check on some of the alternative things,
yeah,
but as far as I know, I do trust the soil scientist, and you can see
sure.
I have so pretty much this septic he told me would be about 20 grand. Uh and but yeah, the you can see all these different these boreholes. So these are all he tested the whole 20 acres, and these are
Yeah, well,
all kind
yeah,
of interesting. It's also kind of an indication on the depth of well-drained soil because he has notes on like here it says like depth usable 11 inches. So just
yeah.
nothing else is deep enough. So just this had to be the
Yeah, yeah. No,
uh,
I get he's got parameters. But I suppose what I'm saying is the system, if you can find an alternative system, then those parameters change because the majority, here in Australia at least, the majority of people who set up septics now don't use the conventional septics. They use the Talex Clearwater 90s, the Biocycles, and the AA worm farm. So the two first ones are basically what's called an active aerated system. So what they do is they're a conventional septic tank, but then within the treatment processes of that, they've got aeration. So there's a pump on there which air because a septic is anaerobic, right? It's septic. And then what happens from there is that water that comes from that is then separately treated before it goes into the environment. And as opposed to sort of being primarily treated effluent, it's secondarily treated effluent. And because of that aeration and the water is chlorinated, they drop chlorine tablets in there. That water is used in a homestead's irrigation system, usually in sprinklers. It can be used in drip, but it requires additional filtration, as you'd appreciate. But yeah, that's much more common now than using the old style, septic. And then the other one is this worm farm system. But yeah, I mean, I know, well, I assume that there's got a, well, one is, are these systems or are similar or equivalent systems available in the US? And B, if they are, then a lot of what you've had done with this septic, with this investigation is doesn't matter because you're just using it for irrigation. It doesn't matter. So it takes on a whole different realm, which is great. Um, because you don't have to worry about where you're going to put the outflow anymore based on the conventional parameters. It's not a leach field anymore. It's just irrigation. I mean, that could be used, say, if you had your trees out here like you're proposing, then they could all be drip irrigated or sprinkler irrigated with your effluent from your house.
Yeah, I'll have to look more into that.
Yeah, yeah.
For the
That's
time being, I'm going to assume that I have to do that. But yeah, I'll have to look more into that. I did talk to an old hippie guy I get advice from at the farmers market that he's like a building science guy, but he told me about how he's like, yeah, put in your septic, and whatever, but instead of doing like having to like update it or when it fails, he was saying that he put in like a, treated wetland, kind of probably more like a wet system
well,
kind of
that's
thing. So
well,
that's
we're
like the
I'm working with, so next week, I've got a meeting with Daniel Salatin and Jay Abrahams because polyphase. Oh, Daniel and Joel asked me. Well, so 4 years ago or 5 years ago, Joel had this whole thing. He wanted to set up a compost toilet. He's wanted to make compost toilets on polyphase for decades because because Joel, when he travels and teaches courses, he's exposed to a lot of permaculture folks and stuff, and as well as sort of traditional farming crowds. And he just loves the whole idea of compost toilets. And he goes home and tells Teresa and Daniel, and they go, no, that's a stupid idea. We'll never have a compost toilet. So anyway, he kept badgering him and badgering him. And I did a private consult for them, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, where we designed a worm-based compost toilet. So just basically I, I copied what Joe Palacia and Trish Allen had in New Zealand, which is basically just um, a, a concrete box about, let's say, about 8 feet by 4 feet, right, square, and that had a building on top of it, which was about the same size, and you had two holes, and you used one, so it was a two-chamber toilet. And at the back, it was all fully enclosed, and it had a pipe which came out, well, an intake which allowed for air to run through, and then a pipe which went out, which was painted black, and that's called a solar chimney. So it basically draws a convective current. People have been doing this for years, and you just add worms into the chamber, and you mix and as you do your thing, you just add sawdust or wood shavings in every time you do your thing. That's it. And then the worms do the rest. And then once it fills up, or fills up like a prism, right? Once it gets close to the drop point, you might say, well, then you go over to the other chamber and you move your toilet over to that side, and then you leave the other one for the worms to do their thing, and then after a few months, you then clean that out and use that with your trees or whatever you're going to do because it's all worm castings now. And
right.
that was what I designed, and
Yeah.
they built that, and they had so much resistance from all their people and their interns and everyone. There's like what we call in the game cacophobia. There was just so much resistance that they then decided, all right, we'll scrap that, and so now they've built a conventional toilet block, um, so flush toilets and two 5,000 gallon um, septic tanks. And now what we're going to do, and this is where they're trying to do the environmental bit, is we're doing a whole leach field, which is going to be based on the wet system. So open sort of swales where the water that comes from the outflow of the septic tanks will go on a pipe because they've got ponds. I could show you the design the initial design, but they've got ponds sort of all in this area as well. And we're going to put a 4-inch pipe, which will lead out to where these swales will be, and then the swales will all be planted up with reeds and rushes and cattails, etc., and willows. And then the willows will be cut regularly and then used as a forage for the either the rabbits or the cattle and sheep on the farm, and that's what gets the nutrients out is the willows. So that's another system that we'll have built, well, hopefully this year. Yeah, we're a bit behind schedule on that, but that was one that I've never built one before, so this will be new for me. But having Jay involved, who's built hundreds of these systems, will be, and he's got a master's in, well, he's a municipal wastewater engineer, so he's got an engineering degree based on wastewater treatment system, like from 35 years ago. So he really knows his stuff. So
Yeah, I
anyway,
mean that all sounds cool. That would be what I would gravitate towards. But yeah, and in the past I had
good
spoken
use of
to
the
some
word gravitate, I must say. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, I had spoken to some North Carolina kind of permaculture elders, but they told me that kind of like the permitting process would be like too cost prohibitive and cumbersome to to mess with most of the time. But I think
I have a
kind
feeling
of
that
appease the
Polyface
county.
are not going to go down that road, as is their
Yeah,
way on a lot of things.
yeah, I just want to kind of like make the county happy so I can get my permits and start get my
I'm with
power
you.
and
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
stuff. But
yeah. I'm
I
with you.
plan to kind of to do some dabbling with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah,
yeah,
it's an interesting one. So hopefully you'll be able to find a system that, like we've been talking about anyway, because that would just cut this whole thing out of the conversation and give you a lot
yeah. I
more
mean
flexibility.
that would be great. I'll have to take a look though, and
I
yeah, because
wonder if
I'm out, but
I wonder if it might be something more in California, and because one of the reasons why these systems developed in Australia is because we had these droughts, and the government it was actually led by policy because the policymakers, they finally, like it used to be completely illegal to cycle any grey water on your property. And then because of the droughts, some innovative legislators came in and said, well, if we actually legislate for these approved wastewater treatment systems to be to and allow them to exist, well, that's going to save a lot of water. And they did that, and it just changed everything overnight. So what it did is it was a legislative tool that then allowed for these companies to invest in their technology. And yeah, now that's what most people use. They don't use the old septic systems. Why would you? You just waste land putting in leach fields when you've now got your water. Most people think this way. They go, okay, well, I'm going to make every gallon of water, I'm going to use it again. It's not wait, if I push the flush, I'm not wasting the water. It goes and irrigates my gardens, keeps my lawn green or whatever it is. People are very happy with that, and it's
that
safe
makes
and
sense.
it works. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's
Okay.
positive legislation. You don't often see it.
Yeah. Any like takeaways as far as like, I guess that's just kind of like just kind of some stuff that's on my mind as far as like just trying to think about some like kind of thinking about it as far as like outlines and then but before I start coloring stuff in, I guess like I have to figure out probably I don't know if we're gonna do it right away, but planning to do like a perimeter fence probably like
Yeah,
around the entire field
yeah,
and obviously like the driveway coming in and buildings, but I guess like, we generally would like to, there's a lot of road frontage, but we would like to, think about like plantings along the road. We
Yeah.
got to think about like, do I have room to put, plantings in here? At least like a low shrub, like some kind of shrub. But, I guess it's just kind of like, plantings and somehow I need like an access road to get from, somewhere here over across the farm, whether that's like below these buildings or like kind of above the buildings.
I think you're going to
Then
probably go
cross,
around. I mean,
do I cross the
you've got the ideal in the sense of, you know, obviously you've put your roads on the ridges, which is, perfect as a starting point. But if you've got these polytunnels sort of stuck in here, well, how's that going to fit? Are you going to, well, you're going to have access here and you're going to have access here. So, and given it's relatively flat, you've got the possibility that you can just go around and then swing back onto the ridge here, sort of thing.
Yeah, so you're saying just like have access below, above and below
Yeah,
those
this goes
tunnels and
back.
then
Yeah, exactly. This goes back to what we were talking about weeks ago, where I think I suggested to you that you might want to go onto paper with this and start to like make out
right.
some. You just said before, you've got an ideal shape or dimension for your polytunnels. Well, cut some little polytunnels out. Google Earth, this is where Google Earth is shit, because in other packages you could draw that as a polygon
And
and
like
right,
drag.
and then you can drag it around. It's a real pain in the ass with Google Earth because you've got to freshly draw it every time. It stops
Yeah,
you
that's
from
part of
having
what's
that.
been holding me up. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
I need to print it out. Yeah, because it's yeah, trying to draw a bunch of blocks and move them around it. Yeah, it's
yeah, I know it's a real deficiency of this software, unfortunately. Yeah, so yeah, I would, but anyway, it'll give you a chance to play with it a bit on paper because I think the main placement of some of the key assets in terms of the dam and the dams are obviously or the ponds are something that are really obvious to put where you've put them, right? So we can say they're pretty well right. So if you were to print this page out on, say, four I don't know what you use a different system in the US, but say four times the letter size or something like that, or eight times the letter size, just take it to Office Depot or whatever you've got. What's it called? Um, one of those big
Office Max, Home Depot, or
yeah, one of
Office
those.
Depot.
Yeah, yeah. They've got large format printers. They're not that expensive. I've used them a lot over the years, and just get it printed out with the contours and so on, and just make up some little cutouts which are to scale, and start to play with that. I think you'll find that with the complexity of what you're trying to pull together as a design method or a method of design, as they say in permaculture, then that would be really helpful for you. I know it would be for me. Me trying to pull this off, that's how I'd play this, because it's you've just got a lot of moving parts that you're trying to assemble, and I
Yeah.
think that once you do that, even with your house, you'll go, all right, well, this is what my house is probably going to look like dimensionally, and then you can sort of fill it, start to imagine the setbacks and do, like we said, move things around. Yeah,
Okay, cool. Well, we can leave it at that. I'll try to like keep chipping away. Yeah, I think
yeah,
there's going to be like another level of detail with like, like all these buildings. Where's all that water go? Do I like, I was considering how, there's going to be like a pack shed that uses a lot of water. Does that water
yeah,
go to, a treatment pond? And does that kind of, I was like considering kind of sending that this direction to like maybe having some ponds in this little like creek line here.
yeah,
And then yeah, also yeah, just thinking about the access coming across and could I have a pond and a little pond and like the access crossing,
yeah,
you know, again use the pond as like a crossing.
yep, yep. Makes perfect
So
sense.
yeah. And then yeah, I guess that I guess I'm zooming around. I got your writing kind of all over,
No,
but
no, it's all right. I'll just get rid of that.
yeah, I guess I'd like to talk more in the future about like I guess details with how to construct, is there could I make all that gradient channel with my tractor or at least to start with and then
Yeah,
yeah, that
possibly. It depends how good you are with your tractor. That's the thing. I mean, I personally, I mean, if I've got some gear there, I mean, a road grader will build that in no time flat. Like it's like two passes with looking at your landscape. If you just wanted to scratch it out, I'd do it with a road grader because I'll just get it right first time. When you do it with a 3 point linkage and a blade, yeah,
Okay, cool.
it generally doesn't end that as well as it could. Um,
Yeah, cool. But yeah, I like the idea that you're saying of like I could just at least throw in that gradient and send all the water to this pond and
yeah.
would solve kind of like I'd have to look at details, but like we talked about, there's this water
Mm,
coming all the way from here to here, and then it goes across a culvert somewhere in here.
mm.
So I kind of want to see if I like could keep that, and that would kind of like keep all the water there, and
Sure.
then there's this water coming down in the road ditch that I'd have to look into, could I bring that on and
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Well, I
yeah,
mean, building that ditch ahead of time would certainly give you, um, well, worst case scenario is that you don't build pond 714 and it will it will just send water towards the pond east. And you'll get to see it for a while and how it plays. And you might go, well, actually, I don't actually get that much water off the road from the section of catchment channel to the west of 714. So and so on. So you can build it and then sort of suck it and see in terms of it's not a big risk, it's not a big cost, and you can start to see how it interacts with the general rainfall conditions that you'll get before deciding whether to invest in 714 or not. There'll be those sorts
yeah,
of
that
things.
makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting kind of shape, and it brings this pond kind of close to this fence.
Yes.
But I would like to kind of have a cool, yeah, road crossing across this pond, and then
Yeah.
yeah, have kind of a riparian area,
Yeah.
and
Well,
maybe have
it
little.
may be where you land with it is that you just make it as a wetland crossing. You just go, look, it just doesn't
Yeah,
generate the sort of catchment. So we go
yeah,
back
that
to
could be
that.
fine too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
All
you,
right,
at
maybe we can
least
leave it at that. I'll let Brett there hop on. So,
no worries. All right. Well, I'm over time
all
now,
right, but yeah,
so
appreciate it. Thanks, Darren.
not at all, man. Not at all. I'll thank you. All right.
Cheers.
So Brett, how are you, Brett?
Doing well, doing well. We've had a lot of ground has been covered since the last time we spoke. And I don't know if with the time I just saw, actually, I was on the phone with or on Zoom with Kirk Gadzia,
Oh, good.
and I mentioned
I haven't talked to
a
Kirk
bunch of
for ages.
ideas. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get the band back together here with you guys.
Ah, there you
Uh,
go.
I'm one, so I actually have a lot of I don't know what your availability is now, but we're like furiously working on a pretty amazing grant proposal. I said speaking of positive legislation, and I put the that grant application
Oh
link
yeah.
in the chat, but it's basically a grant that was really short notice. It's sort of a pilot project to incentivize farm water conservation, innovation, and resilience. And it's like it's the dream funding source for everything that I've been kind of conjuring up, here with you guys. But I wondered, so gets a little bit personal, but I know we don't have much time. I
That's
just
okay. So
wondered, uh,
keep going.
I wondered what I know you're making your North American tour, and I wondered what the possibility would be that you could still move your itinerary, if there's still space in the itinerary and potential to host a
It's
Rex, because we have all these we've got like the sudden coalition of folks. No way.
no, it's I'll show you exactly what it looks like. So that's what it looks like currently. Um,
How are you getting from Mexico to New York?
so I'm driving on the Thursday the 4th. We're driving from 4 hours from Coatzacoalcos to Monterey, and then flying Monterey to Ithaca, basically.
Did you change? Are the dates for the New York event? Are they?
Oh yeah, I did put it out there because the fall festival is now gone. And so I wanted to put that forward. So I wanted to push the date because I mean, I'm going to finish, we'll finish then, and I'll basically have to get in the car and drive, and then we've got a 7 a.m. flight. So I'll have to be at the airport at 5, and then to get to there in time. And I did put out there to move that, but we had about half, I think we've got 11 booked, and about half of them wrote back and said, no, we can't move the date. Because I asked if we could move the date to, because this Dovetail Festival, they only announced, I think, it was about a week ago that they were not going to go ahead with this. So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm just it's just too compressed to put anything else in there, I think, because we've only got we've got to get to this was the craziest part of our whole schedule.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm a little confused. So the polyface thing is actually August still. So it was
Yeah.
September and moved to August?
No, it never would. No, it was always August. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I moved it was going to start on I think the 20 I remember what it was. I moved it back because on this end, I basically it was the same way around. It was just like to try and slot in Mexico. I only had like a day to get from Polyface to Mexico. It was
yeah.
insane. So I pushed it back pretty early. But
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I couldn't do it on the once I had the news that the dovetail thing wasn't going ahead with AEA. I tried to do that, but that ship has sailed, unfortunately.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so just spitballing here. Just
Yeah.
spitballing.
That's okay. It's all right. You can spitball. I know you're good at
Yeah.
it. You're built for it, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's my spirit animal.
There you go. That's a good one.
Uh,
That'd be a camel.
um,
Or
yeah,
or a llama or one of those animals,
maybe so.
those camelids who spit a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So so when does your European tour end then? Is that
Um,
it there
yeah, that's the end, and we've got this wedding that we're committed to, and then after
in
that,
Ballarat? Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah, you're not coming back. You're not coming back to this side of the.
not well, as we keep saying, if you've got money and oil, can
Well,
make all sorts
that's
of
what
things
we
happen.
got. That's what I'm telling you we got.
Well,
So,
let me just
yeah.
I don't miss the spitball. The other thing that we've got on is we've got the next Rex. So if you go beyond this, so if you go to where are we? The calendar. I think I've got it in here. So if you go to here, the next Rex starts on the 4th of November.
Okay.
Yeah.
So potentially, if we could continue a dialogue about possibilities for October after the wedding.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. I mean,
So
it wouldn't like I'll put it this way. It's not like I ran the whole India project while doing the Rex that you were involved with. You would remember that. I was
yeah, yeah,
right.
very
So
much.
that was, I was in charge of like 200 people and I still was able to fulfill my Rex obligations. So it's not like we haven't been down this path before. But yeah,
But for our performance period, the grant performance period is September 15th through June of 26. And
mhm.
our irrigation season, we really just need to uh like the sooner the better. But actually October would be ideal because our my wife's work schedule is very open.
Oh,
Um
good.
so so listen, should we continue a conversation
Yeah, sure.
offline about the numbers?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I think
Sure.
we could probably, if you were open to it, I think we could build it into this budget and get it submitted Monday, and I think it's going to get funded.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Okay. Well, that's easy. We've got all of so this is our template. And so it depends on the model. So if I give you, say, actually, I've got it. I did have it there. It's the 2026.
I think we have somebody picking up my son.
Right.
I might have
Anyway,
to take.
so we have a whole budget model which is all on sliding scale and blah blah blah, and it's all ready built, right? So yeah, so I've got all of that templating done.
So,
Okay.
So just to close the loop, because although we have plenty of time to plan, I don't have that much time to build the pro forma budget to submit that'll have to go in Monday by 5 p.m.
Yeah,
So
well, this is, yeah, we do. So that's okay. I mean, from our perspective, yeah,
no,
we've got,
but I
yeah.
just to close the loop, because I might need to. I can't really see this very well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Might need to close the loop with you.
I'll send a note to you with this, and then we can follow it up between now and 5:30 Monday.
Okay, perfect. All right, sounds good, man.
All right. Well, thanks for thinking of me, and I hope Kirk is well. Be good to see him again at some stage. He's a great man.
Well, he committed to being involved if you came. So I thought, maybe,
Oh, that's nice.
so then I thought, well, maybe I could, he'd be the carrot to convince you. So anyway, yeah, let's just continue the dialogue and see where things go over the weekend.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, mate.
All right, man.
All right.
We'll
Take
talk
care.
to you soon.
You will.
Right,
All right. Hooroo. All right. Well, there you go. Thanks, everyone. That was a good energy session. Thanks to Nick for being there too. He's taken off. Brian and Kath, we didn't. I don't know. Did you have anything to catch up on, Kath, or you're good?
Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks,
No
Darren.
worries. All right. Well, good to catch in, and all right. We'll have a great weekend. Thanks for your patience with Elon. I think you had the same issue, Kath. So
Yeah,
luckily it didn't
I,
impact us too badly. It just meant that we had to shift this, but otherwise we were able to get back to work.
yeah, I don't have mobile access without Elon, so I didn't
Oh,
even, so I didn't know what was going on. I just thought, oh no, something else is broken.
there you go.
But yeah, it was good when I realized I was not alone.
No, like millions. Yeah. Anyway, shows us how reliant we are on these things, as we already knew. All right. Well, thanks everyone. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Brian. It was good catching up with you too. Appreciate it. All right. Get that guitar ready for next week, mate. And they're not letting you get off the hook. Pick a song.